Hi everyone, this is Dr. Ruscio, and I wanted to give you an update on new food allergy testing that's become available based upon a recent study. So I want to thank Dr. Thomas O'Brien for bringing this to my attention. I recently came across this from some of his work, and I'll put this study up on the screen here, the abstract, briefly. And essentially this reads, I won't read you the whole title, but essentially this study is showing something very interesting, which is when food allergies are tested to raw food compared to cooked food, there's actually they're finding that people will react differently. Some people will have a reaction to raw food and not cooked. Some people will have a reaction to cooked food and not raw. Very interesting. And there was an announcement from Dr. O'Brien that Celiac is now offering a new food allergy panel that also tests raw versus cooked food. And really appreciate the information, really appreciate what Celiac is doing. However, I'd like to give my position on this, which is a little bit different. I am not a huge proponent of food allergy testing for a couple of reasons. And I think the bottom line comes down to, will this help you get healthier, or will this just be an expensive test that doesn't really help you at the end of the day? This, to me, is the key issue. There are lots of tests that sound really attractive, but as someone who is in the clinic every week working with these things, over the years I've gotten a pretty good sense about what works and where we might want to save money. So while I respect the opinion of my colleagues that might be different on this issue, I want to provide you with my position so that maybe we can, between myself and my colleagues, we can help you find a path that's going to work best for you. So when you consider that this food allergy test is just under $1,000, I do not consider this to be a good investment. And there's a few reasons why. I think, and this is based upon my own personal experience and my own clinical experience, the best way to determine if you have a food allergy is to eliminate a food and then reintroduce it. The reason I say that is multiple. One, after running food allergy testing on myself and some of my patients, I don't always find that the food allergy testing will tell us anything that we don't already know, or it'll tell us someone can't eat a food that the person knows they tolerate fine, or even in some cases the allergy test will say that they can eat this food, but the person knows they have a bad reaction to that food. Now, this study sheds some light on why that might be. It might be an issue of the food allergy test was looking for raw food allergies against raw foods, and the person notices they can't tolerate that food, but they can't tolerate the cooked food. Okay, so trying to figure out what foods you can't eat based upon food allergy testing is going to be an extremely costly endeavor, and right now I don't think the science is there. And again, this is because the food allergy testing, in my experience, doesn't always match with the patient presentation. Not only this, there are multiple ways, as this study is shedding light on, that we can test for food allergies. There are IgG, A, M. There are also other fractions of the immunoglobulin which are not often mentioned. And there's also white blood cell reactivity. And now we're learning that there's cooked versus raw. In addition to that, there are components of foods that can cause reactivity that are non-allergy mediated. Things like oxalates, which can cause gastrointestinal upset, has been correlated with joint pain, just as one example, or kidney stones. And that has to do with partially the amount of oxalate-degrading bacteria you have in your gut. There's also histamine, which is a compound in food which can cause brain fog and fatigue and insomnia and rashing and hives in some people. So there are multiple things. There's also the FODMAP content, or the prebiotic content of foods, for which some people that will cause them to have gas, bloating, loose stools, constipation, diarrhea, because they may be feeding an underlying small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So for all these reasons, I really would not recommend going and spending near $1,000 on food allergy testing, because my fear for you is that it's not going to help you get any healthier. Okay, but maybe some practical things that you can do, and I've listed them here in the slide. The first thing that you can do is try a diet that we know removes some of the most common food allergens, like paleo or maybe autoimmune paleo. Give that a 30-day trial. Now, some other diets you might want to consider, should that not work, is the SCD, or specific carbohydrate diet, or the low FODMAP diet. And both of those help for different reasons. I won't go into those reasons right now, but those are two other diets you might want to try. Okay, these won't cost you anything. They'll probably help you eat some different foods, learn some stuff about foods that maybe you didn't know previously. This would be a good investment, I would consider. Also, if you're not sleeping enough and you're overly stressed, you definitely want to address those issues. These are free and fundamental issues that are important for your health, that are going to be, in my opinion, again, vastly more important than spending near $1,000 on a list of foods that you should and should not eat, which again is of questionable utility. Second to that, try supplementing periodically or for a short term with some probiotics or with some digestive enzymes. See if that helps. And then thirdly, if you're still not feeling any better, the best investment, in my opinion, at this point is to invest or undergo an investigation with a skilled functional medicine provider to determine what is causing your underlying problems. Because if you have multiple food allergies, for example, if you're called pan-allergic, that can be an indicator of leaky gut. And so the question now is not how can you make your life a living hell by avoiding every food under the sun, but how can you figure out what's causing leaky gut so that your gut can recover, so that these food allergies can start to go away. All right. And then lastly, listen to your body. If you listen to your body, you will be able to figure out, irrespective of the test or the mechanism, what foods work for you and what foods don't work for you. This is really teaching someone how to fish rather than giving someone a fish. And in brief, I'd like to share with you my experience. I've noticed that if I saute kale, I get brain fog. I don't know why. I've noticed this numerous times, and so now I don't saute kale. I'll do it raw, I'll do it maybe in a salad, or I'll do it steamed, but I don't saute it. Now, I've noticed this. I don't need a food allergy test. I don't need to spend $1,000 to figure this out. This is just something, as a good health practice, you should be listening to how you feel after you eat certain foods. And with time, you will weed out what foods work for you and what foods don't work for you. That being said, if you feel like you feel bad all the time, then something is probably wrong. Given that you're eating a halfway decent diet, like I've mentioned before, if you're still feeling really terrible, as I once was, there's probably something happening in your gut that is causing you to have leaky gut and causing you to have multiple food allergies, and that will need to be investigated and remedied for you to really recover. So again, my position on this issue, and it's not to take counterpoint to some of my colleagues, but it's to hopefully help you find the road to recovery that will be the most efficient and the most cost effective. Okay, this is Dr. Ruscio, and I hope this helps. Thanks.